बिल्कुल अच्छा है।
नहीं करते, हम ना अभी ग्राउंड में हैं तो वही क्लास है। हाँ, हम लोग को थोड़ा सा है, कुछ टेक्निकल जो होता है ना, ठीक है, थैंक यू थैंक यू।
नेशनल एंथम का क्या है, नहीं?
अच्छा, मैंने नहीं सुना है,
अच्छा।
क्या करते हैं? मुझे तो सुनना ही नहीं आता है। हाँ, तो कौन सा सॉन्ग है? हमें
I request the dignitaries to come up on the dais. Namaskar. On behalf of Indira Gandhi National Open University, it is my pleasure to extend a warm welcome to the distinguished guest for the celebration of International Women's Day, Mrs. Mugdha Sinha from the Indian Administrative Service and presently the Managing Director, India Tourism Development Corporation Limited. A warm welcome to Honorable Vice Chancellor of IGNOU, Professor Uma Kanjilal, Registrar of IGNOU, Professor Jiten Srivastav, Director of School of Gender and Development Studies, Professor Anu Thomas, Dr. Ranjita Panda, Chairperson of Regional Services Division, Committee Against Sexual Harassment, our colleagues at the regional centers across India who have joined us online, colleagues at the headquarters, and our learners. Every year on March 8, International Women's Day is observed to honor the political, social, economic, and cultural accomplishments of women around the world and to promote the advancement of complete gender equality. It is a day to honor the unwavering spirit of women who have triumphed over prejudices, shaped our society, inspired courage, and brightened our lives. Women's empowerment is a transformative process that guarantees equal access to opportunities in all spheres of life. The theme for this year is Rights, Justice, Action for all women and girls. Today in IGNOU, the day's celebration started with a walkathon, followed by the showcasing of innovative and creative projects by Swadeshipreneurs. With this, we are reminded that women today are not only creators of enterprise, but also architects of leadership across every sphere of society. International Women's Day calls upon us to reflect not just on participation, but on position, power, and purposeful leadership. It urges us to ask an important question: how are women shaping the helm of institutions, governance, knowledge systems, and social transformation? In the context of an open and distance learning university like ours, this question becomes even more meaningful. Education democratizes opportunity, and when women lead within these spaces, the ripple effects reach far beyond classrooms into families, communities, and the nation at large. With this spirit, we now move to one of the most intellectually engaging segments of today's program, the special lecture by the chief guest, Srimati Mugdha Sinha, on women at the helm. We now inaugurate this session with the lighting of the ceremonial lamp. I warmly invite our esteemed chief guest, Srimati Mugdha Sinha, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Uma Kanjilal, Professor Jiten Srivastav, Registrar IGNOU, Professor Anu Thomas, Dr. Ranjita Panda, to inaugurate the proceedings. I also request Professor Suhas Shetgovekar, Chairperson of IGNOU CASH, Professor Rose, Chairperson of Apex CASH, Dr. Jyotsna Dikshit, Director, National Center for Innovation and Distance Education, to come up on the dais for the ceremony. A symbol of hope, positivity, and resilience. Thank you. I would now request everyone to please rise for the University Kulgeet. Professor Uma Kanjilal is the first woman to serve as Vice Chancellor since the university's establishment in 1985, bringing over 36 years of experience in open and distance learning and now digital learning. I would now request Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Uma Kanjilal, to deliver her welcome address.
Esteemed Chief Guest of the occasion, Srimati Mugdha Sinha, IAS, Managing Director, India Tourism Development Corporation, Registrar of the University, Professor Jitendra Srivastav, Professor Anu J. Thomas, Director, School of Gender Studies, Dr. Ranjita Panda, Chairperson of RD Cash, Professor Suhas Eskaukar, Chairperson of IGNU Cash. Good morning to all of you, and I all welcome you to this major event that we are celebrating, the Women's Day, International Women's Day celebration. It is indeed a privilege to address this gathering as we come together to celebrate the achievements, resilience, and leadership of women across society. International Women's Day is not merely a celebration, it is an occasion for reflection and commitment. Reflection on the progress that women have made across sectors and commitment to ensuring that every woman has equal access to education, opportunity, and leadership. Across the world, it is widely acknowledged that education is the most powerful instrument of women's empowerment. When a woman gains access to education, she not only transforms her own life, but also contributes to the progress of families, communities, and the nation as a whole. In India, the vision of empowering women through education has gained renewed momentum through transformative national initiatives. The National Education Policy 2020 strongly emphasizes equitable access, gender inclusion, flexible learning pathways, and lifelong learning opportunities. These principles are particularly important for women who may face social, economic, or geographical barriers in accessing traditional higher education. In this context, open distance digital learning systems have emerged as powerful enablers of inclusive education. ODDL creates flexible, learner-friendly, and gender-sensitive learning environment, allowing women to pursue education while balancing family responsibilities, professional commitments, and social roles. Importantly, open learning system also reduce social opportunity cost of education, making it possible for women from disadvantaged and remote regions to access higher education. It is here that Indira Gandhi National Open University has played a pioneering role in democratizing higher education in India. Today, IGNOU stands as the largest open university in the world, serving over 3.9 million students on the loans. One of the most encouraging aspects of IGNOU's growth has been significant participation of women learners. In fact, the university has successfully achieved gender parity in enrollment, reflecting transformative reach of open and flexible learning systems for women across the country. Let me give you some figures. If you look into the 2024-25 enrollment of IGNOU learners, in fact, 57% of all fresh admissions are women, and only 43% are male. This milestone demonstrates IGNOU's increasing influence in promoting higher education among women, especially in regions where traditional universities may be inaccessible due to social or logistical constraints. Now, let me also share with you that our January session is ongoing, and in that, till date, more than 350,000 students have enrolled, of which 72% are women. This is something really a big change has been brought in, and this is something very, very, very encouraging for us, in fact. Many of these learners are first-generation graduates, women returning to education after a gap, working professionals seeking to upgrade their qualifications, and learners from rural and remote communities who otherwise would not have access to higher education institutions. Through its extensive academic network of 70 regional centers and more than 2,000 learner support centers, IGNOU has created a learning ecosystem that enables women to pursue higher education while continuing their personal and professional journeys. Today, the university offers around 334 academic programs spanning diverse disciplines, including social sciences, education, management sciences, health sciences, and vocational education. These programs are designed to promote flexibility, lifelong learning, and employability, making them particularly valuable for women learners. However, our commitment to gender equality is not limited to student enrollment alone. We are equally proud that women occupy significant leadership positions within the institutional structure of IGNOU. For example, 15 of the 21 schools of studies at IGNOU are currently headed by women directors, demonstrating strong representation of women in academic leadership. Women also hold leadership positions across centers, institutes, regional centers, divisions, and institutional units, contributing effectively to governance, research, and academic development of the university. Such representation reflects the university's commitment to creating an academic culture where talent and leadership are recognized irrespective of gender. In many institutions around the world, women still encounter what is often described as the glass ceiling in leadership position. At IGNOU, we are proud that our institutional ecosystem encourages women faculty members and administrators to grow as leaders and contribute meaningfully to shaping the future of higher education. At the national level as well, India has made encouraging progress in women's participation in higher education. Recent data shows that women now account for nearly half of total enrollment in the Indian higher education system, reflecting the growing aspirations of women across the country. Yet, challenges remain, particularly for women in rural areas, marginalized communities, and economically disadvantaged backgrounds. Flexible learning systems therefore remain critical for ensuring inclusive access to education. As India moves with the vision of Digital India, Skill India, and Viksit Bharat 2047, the role of higher education institutions becomes even more significant. The future workforce will require not only academic knowledge, but also digital literacy, innovative capacity, entrepreneurial thinking, and interdisciplinary skills. Women must actively participate and take up leadership roles in these transformations. Recognizing this need, IGNOU is expanding programs that integrate skill development, vocational education, entrepreneurship, and digital competencies, aligning with the national initiatives such as the National Skill Qualification Framework and Skill India Mission. These initiatives enable women learners to pursue skilling, reskilling, and multiskilling, thereby enhancing employability and enabling economic self-reliance. At the same time, the university is strengthening the use of technology-enabled learning systems, digital platforms, and innovative pedagogies to make education more accessible and inclusive. We are indeed living in a time of rapid transformation where technology is both an enabler and a disruptor in the education landscape. In this evolving environment, institutions like IGNOU must continue to innovate and ensure that education remains inclusive, flexible, and future-ready. On this special occasion, we are also honored to have distinguished guest, Professor Srimati Mugdha Sinha, who exemplify the spirit of women's leadership and excellence. Her journey reminds us that leadership requires courage, resilience, and determination to overcome challenges and barriers. Today is also an opportunity to recognize the determination of our women learners who balance multiple responsibilities while pursuing their educational aspirations. Their journey reminds us that education is not defined by age, geography, or circumstances. It is defined by aspiration and perseverance. As we celebrate International Women's Day today, let us reaffirm and our commitment to building an educational ecosystem that is inclusive, equitable, and empowering for every woman. Let us continue to create opportunities for women to learn, innovate, lead, and shape the future of our nation. IGNOU remains deeply committed to expanding open digital lifelong learning pathways so that education reaches every learner, especially women who aspire to transform their lives through knowledge and skills. I once again extend my warm welcome to all our guests here, especially the chief guest, Srimati Mugdha Sinha. all faculty members, staff, IGNOU staff, students, and all participants who have joined us today. I am confident that today's event will generate meaningful insights and strengthen our collective commitment to women's empowerment through education. As we celebrate International Women's Day, let us remember that empowering women through education is not merely a social responsibility, it is a national imperative. When women learn, societies progress, economies grow, and nations transform. IGNOU will continue to expand inclusive and technology-enabled learning opportunities so that every woman, regardless of geography or circumstances, has access to education, skills, and opportunities to lead the future of our nation. I once again welcome you all for this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for inspiring us. Ma'am has always motivated us to be creative in strengthening the ODDL ecosystem. I would now request our Vice Chancellor, Professor Uma Kanjilal, to felicitate our Chief Guest, Srimati Mugdha Sinha, with a token of gratitude. I would request Professor Anu Thomas, Director, School of Gender and Development Studies, to felicitate our Vice Chancellor, Professor Uma Kanjilal. I humbly request Dr. Ranjita Panda to felicitate Registrar IGNOU, Professor Jiten Srivastav. I now request Dr. Usha to felicitate Professor Anu Thomas. I request Dr. Jiuma to felicitate Dr. Ranjita Panda. Thank you. I humbly request Professor Anu Thomas, Director, School of Gender and Development Studies, to present a brief overview of the proceedings.
Thank you so much. I would not like to stand between you and our very distinguished speaker, who is going to give us very important insights today. So I'll keep it brief. This is basically a collaborative event between School of Gender and Development Studies, the Committees Against Sexual Harassment, which we call CASH committees, and the National Center for Innovations in Distance Education, or NCIDE. Our research scholars, students, faculty energized us in the beginning with a walkathon. And though it has suddenly increased, the temperature has increased, it was difficult, but I am so grateful to everybody for joining in. We also had an exhibition which celebrated women's entrepreneurship, which is basically a triumph of spirit, courage, and perseverance of each of those individuals who have participated. We are very, very grateful to them to having joined us for this celebration of International Women's Day. And as we all know, this is an emphasis area at present from the government, from non-governmental sector, so from all ourselves also. So it is really a privilege to have welcomed them in our midst, and we hope to learn from their stories, their individual stories, and their collective efforts. This was organized by the National Center for Innovations in Distance Education, the walkathon by the CASH committees. I am very privileged and honored to be sharing the dais with two remarkable women at the helm, Mrs. SOGDS Sinha, IAS at the helm of ITDC, and Prof. Suma Kanjilal at the helm of IGNOU, our first woman Vice Chancellor. Ma'am, we are very grateful to you for gracing the occasion, and we look forward to your insights, especially for how we should move forward in encouraging women to occupy leadership positions. As a school, that is part of our mandate as well. So we look forward to your own experiences in how your own personal journey, and also how this can translate into the vision for other women to move forward and to occupy leadership positions. This will be followed by a documentary, Women Rise for All, from the United Nations. This is basically emphasizing gender equality, women coming forward to occupy their rightful place and move. As, of course, we are very familiar with the saying that women hold up half the sky, but we would like to see it in action, and we would encourage as many women to participate in our development efforts as truly empowered visionaries in this journey forward. This year's theme for the International Women's Day is Give to Gain. We can elaborate a lot on what our university has done in ushering in giving the provision of education in order to gain development and empowerment. This lends itself to IGNOU's time-honored mandate of reaching the unreached, and that makes us a people's university par excellence. And already our honored Vice Chancellor has given us deep insights into the special features of IGNOU's journey and how IGNOU has encouraged so many women learners to improve themselves, to occupy positions of leadership, and to progress, to develop, and to get empowered. So we hope to continue this wonderful journey together, and thank you for everybody who is part of that journey, not just us, everybody in the university. Thank you so much. With a few words.
Thank you, ma'am. I now request Dr. Ranjita Panda, Chairperson, Regional Services Division, Committee Against Sexual Harassment, to present an overview of the committees against sexual harassment at IGNOU.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. सभी को नमस्कार. यात्रा नर्यस्तु पूज्यन्ते रामन्ते तत्र देवताः. Where women are honored, there the divine resides, and where women are not respected, all actions remain fruitless. हम सभी को पता है, जहाँ नारी का सम्मान होता है, उधर देवता की वास होता है. जहाँ नहीं, वहाँ सब कर्म निष्फल होता है. I would like to request all of you for a big clapping for our First Lady Vice Chancellor, Uma Madam. Another huge clapping for our eminent speaker, Mugdha ji. एक ही रजिस्टर सर बैठे हैं, एक ही मेल, उनके लिए जोरदार तालियां. Honorable Vice Chancellor Ma'am, Mugdha ji, respected eminent speaker, Registrar IGNOU Srivastav ji, and Director SOGDS, Thomas Ma'am. A very, very happy International Women's Day to all of you, and for me also. Though I too believe that every day should be Women's Day, because women create lives and shape families. Their presence nurtures relationships, builds communities, and strengthens society. True respect for women should never be limited to a seasonal gesture or a single day of celebration. It should be a daily moment. It should be a daily recognition. It's a recognition of immense strength, compassion, and wisdom that women carry within them. In our cultural and spiritual tradition, a woman is not merely seen as a social being. She is regarded as the living manifestation of Shakti, the divine feminine power that sustains the universe. This idea reminds us that the feminine principle is deeply embedded in every aspect of our life. From prosperity and knowledge to strength and compassion, many of these qualities are symbolically represented through the feminine divine, Shakti, Durga Shakti. सभी को पता है. Our sacred tradition beautifully expressed this idea through the Narayani Stuti, often known as Ya Devi Sarvabhutesu Sanstita, Namaste, Namaste Se, Namaste Se, Namo Namo. It reminds us that the divine feminine exists in every aspect of life, in nourishment, in rest, in resilience, and in the silent strength that sustains us every day. I would not like to speak much more because ma'am is here, Mugdha ji, she will speak and she will enlighten us. Just I would briefly speak about our case committee. Because this principle, I would like to say the background. In India, this issue of women gained national attention after the landmark judgment of the Visakha versus State of Rajasthan, where the Supreme Court laid down important guidelines to address sexual harassment at the workplace. These guidelines recognized sexual harassment as a violation of women's fundamental rights and emphasized the responsibility of every institution to ensure a safe working environment. These principles were later strengthened through the enactment of Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act 2013. I think everybody has that idea that POS Act 2013 acted in 2013. Everybody has that information, I think so. And in IGNO, we have IGNO Policy Act. It has been provides a comprehensive framework for preventing sexual harassment, and we have 3 committees because our system is unique. RSD case, it is across the country we have regional center. For that regional RC case and for that RSD case monitors. All the RC case issues. We have I case, IGNO case, already madam ne bataye the. I case, IGNO case, we have division, unit, schools. So the issues which are pursuing in headquarter, it is related to and it is handled by I case. And above I case and RSD case, we have Apex committee, the Supreme Committee. Sometimes what happened, we have received complicated cases, and at that time, our Vice Chancellor directly give it to the Apex Committee for resolution. So there are so many things we have to know, because today is Women's Day and we are celebrating in a very cool mood. It's a matter of concern. So I would like to request all of you to go through the IGNO policy 2080, because it is available on the website of IGNOU. Or why I am saying, most of the cases sometimes what happened, किसी का administrative problem, किसी का harassment problem, कुछ भी होता है, they have been asking, I case है ना, RSD case है ना. So please, I would like to request all the women and male of our university student to go through this rule, regulation, policy of IGNOU, and please spread the information, awareness to others also. The purpose of this committee is to ensure a safe, respectful, and gender-sensitive environment for all members of the university community. Its key objective, because I would like to say just another 2-3 lines because it is required. The key objective of our committee includes 3 points: prevention by prohibiting any form of sexual harassment on the campus, redressal by providing a fair mechanism for addressing complaints, awareness through workshop and sensitization program, which we have been doing a lot with the guidance of our Honorable Lady Vice Chancellor Uma Madam. Please big clap for her. If a complaint is proven after due investigation, the committee can recommend appropriate actions ranging from counseling and written apologies to disciplinary measures or legal proceedings, depending on the seriousness of the case. So our committee is very powerful. It is also a matter of pride that Indira Gandhi National Open University reflects women's empowerment not only through policies, but also through leadership. Our Vice Chancellor is a woman, and many divisions and regional centers are also headed by women. Their leadership serves as an inspiring example of the growing role of women in academic governance. As we celebrate International Women's Day today, let us remember that empowering women is not only about policy or laws. It is about creating an environment of dignity, respect, and equal opportunity every single day. I'd like to conclude with a simple but powerful line, Nari tu Narayani. Nari tu Narayani, a woman herself, represents strength and divine power. When we women feel safe, respected, and empowered, we do not only uplift themselves, they uplift families, they uplift university, institution, and society as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for that overview. I now request Professor Rose Nembekiam, Chairperson, Apex Committee Against Sexual Harassment, to introduce the chief guest of the event, Srimati Mugdha Sinha.
Good morning, powerful women and the men who supports them. It is my privilege and pleasure to introduce our esteemed speaker, Ms. Mugdha Sinha. Her achievements and accolades transcend beyond this piece of paper. However, ma'am, I'll try my best to do justice to what you have done. Mugdha Sinha is a 1999 batch of IAS officer of the Rajasthan cadre with over 26 years of experience in public policy and international trade. She currently serves as the Managing Director of ITDC after previously working as Director General, Tourism, Government of India. Earlier, as Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Culture, she led the GLAM division and successfully organized 3 major cultural events in 2023, the International Museum Expo, Festival of Libraries, and Indian Art Architecture Design Biennial, strengthening India's global cultural presence. In Rajasthan, she also served as Director General of Jawahar Kala Kendra, where she pioneered astronaut sky tourism, inspiring similar initiatives across India and contributing to Hanle being declared the country's first dark sky reserve. An alumna of Lady Shri Ram College, Jawaharlal Nehru University, and the University of California in Berkeley, she has received several prestigious awards and fellowship, including the Ford Foundation Scholarship and the ELSA Changemaker of the Year Award. Beyond administration, Ms. Mugdha is an avid reader, writer, and poet. Her works include postcard poems in English and the Hindi poetry collection, Kya Kahun Main Kaun Hoon. She actively promotes literature, moderating author conversations and speaking at major literary festivals. A creative spirit, she also paints bottles under the brand bottle_is_canvas and explores Jungian mandalas, blending art, policy, and imagination in everything she does. As a civil servant, her only aspiration is to make the interface with the government a pleasant experience for the citizens. And it is my privilege to please welcome ma'am to give the address to the people who are waiting for you. Thank you.
Namaskar, very good morning, everyone. Professor Uma Kanjilalji, very proud to be in the presence of the first Lady Vice Chancellor in 40 years, I believe, at IGNOU. Thank you, ma'am, for the invite and for your graciousness in having me here. Registrar happens to be a fellow JNUite, so Professor Jitendra Srivastavji, thank you very much for rekindling fond memories of being in JNU. To our two stalwarts, Professor Anu Thomas ma'am, who heads the Gender Studies division here at IGNOU, and Professor Panda, who gave a very, very nice introduction to ICASH, who heads ICASH, to Professor Suhas, who coordinated and invited me here, to all members of the faculty here, to all the regional centers of IGNOU who have joined online, and most of all, to all the students who are present here, to everyone who's part of this, even to the ones who are running the startup, the exhibition that we saw from the community. So thank you very much, everyone. I feel indeed very honored and humbled to be invited here to celebrate the International Women's Day. My own organization is celebrating the event tomorrow, so it's very nice to kickstart 2026, this year's International Women's Day celebrations from IGNOU, a university about which we heard from the Honorable Vice Chancellor ma'am that this, in fact, the very concept of IGNOU, I think, is an enabler in empowerment of women. I'm very happy to hear the statistics for the simple reason that, you know, this university was conceived to be able to provide access to education to people who could not enroll themselves in universities and colleges for some reason, because of geography, because of their own personal circumstances. And I think this, this movement that started 4 decades back today has about 4 million, close to 4 million people, with about, I'm given to understand, 72% women who are fresh learners, which is huge for a country. You know, if you look at it from the other point of view, that 72 women wanting to get educated means so much for the next generation, because today the topic that I will be speaking on is women at leadership positions. For that, it is very, very important that we invest to be a leader. I always say a good policy maker or a good leader is somebody who can anticipate the future. And I think way back in 1985, IGNOU anticipated that there will be a time in 2026, January, when 72% of women will enroll in IGNOU as first-time learners, which is, I think, deserves a huge round of applause for the institution, because institutions, like individuals, grow and evolve. they might be conceived, but what you do with them in terms of the ecosystem of the individuals that nurture and grow seeds, manure them, look at them, do all the caregiving that is required, look at all the vision building exercises that are required. So I think salutations to everybody, because as Isaac Newton said, that we all stand on the shoulders of giants before us. And I am also here because I also stand on the shoulders of many giant women before me. And that also gives me a sense of responsibility, because it's very humbling in that sense to be here, because it also tells me that what the women before me who enabled me to be here, including my mother, my sisters, the entire village, because it takes a village to raise a child. So for that village, thank you. And because of the fact that this village has produced all of us, it is also our responsibility then to contribute to the village. And I think this ideation today that I'm very privileged and honored to do as a little monologue with all of you today comes from that sense of responsibility of giving and paying it forward for what I have received in immense measure from everybody before me. When I came here, I also thought I will begin by saying something which Professor Panda has already said, but I'd like to elaborate a little. We've all grown up hearing this Sanskrit slogan which says, Yatra Nari Pujyante Tatra Devta Ramante, in different versions of it. And we all know, as Professor Panda also mentioned, that femininity or women is actually equivalent to divinity in the understanding of a civilizational ethos. But how do we explain this for the contemporary society today? And my own understanding or my own critical analysis of this civilizational ethos is like this, that way before we picked up the colonial mindset of looking things from the Victorian morality, our own Indian civilization said something very important, which said that you will be respected as women simply for existing, for being women. Please soak that in, because that is very important. You do not deserve any respect just because you are a mother, you are a sister, you are a professional, you are a leader. You deserve respect only because you were born as a woman, because of your being as the divine feminine, the Shakti that Professor Panda spoke of. It has nothing to do with your doing. You're doing anything great, you're doing or becoming anything. Just being and exemplifying the divine feminine itself is venerable, should beget you respect. I think that is such an equalizing mantra, because it says, and we've also witnessed in the past what we call where women, if they were born as a girl child, we had so much of stigma against it. And this is the same country that gave the slogan that just by existing, just by being born as women, you exemplify the best qualities of the divine Shakti. You are the divine. You are the personification of the divine. You need not do anything. This is the country that gave this understanding. What the governments have done, the governments have encouraged this understanding by doing what? If I just go back to 10 years, the last decade, and look at what has happened in the last decade, we began by providing financial inclusion, the Jan Dhan scheme that came. The slogan of Nari Shakti as the epitome of how you will look at policy making by keeping that same civilizational ethos at the center of policy making. So you had gender budgeting, financial inclusion, gender budgeting, and the clarion call for recognizing, acknowledging Nari Shakti, equivalent to the Sanskrit slogan that a civilization gave us. What did it do? It also allowed the world to acknowledge Nari Shakti and change the dynamics of how we do language parlance. Because Professor Jitendra Srivastav ji is from the Hindi literature background, and he would know this and validate the fact that in a couple of years, with India speaking about women's empowerment as Nari Shakti, today in the Oxford Dictionary, which is an English language dictionary, the word Nari Shakti in 2018 became a word which is now recognized globally as a word for women empowerment in the English language as well. I think that is what scaffolding in terms of policy, hand-holding in terms of policy does. The UNESCO's theme for this year, as has been rightly mentioned before me, is three things. It speaks of rights, and no rights come without responsibility. If there are rights towards women, there are also rights and responsibilities. It's a give and take. It's the classical example of the gift of the sociologist, anthropologist mouse. You know, Marcel Mauss spoke about when you give, when you take, there's a reciprocity. So rights also come with reciprocal responsibility. The second word is justice. There can be no justice without inclusion, without fairness, and without equity. Equality does not always translate into equity. So when you say 72% of fresh learners are women, it is not really equality, but it is equity, given their circumstances, disadvantageous circumstances. Equity becomes at the center of what you call justice. And how do you translate right and justice into action? Slogans alone will not suffice. You have to actually bring them into action to be able to have actionable agenda. The conception of this university was one actionable agenda. The nurturing of this and bringing the statistics that talks, the gender statistics that we have culled out actually show that the conception has delivered what it was meant to do. If I look at what the WEF says, which is the World Economic Forum says, the World Economic Forum says that globally, 34% women are in leadership positions across the world. We also heard statistics about IGNOU women holding leadership position in terms of directors of their departments and faculties. If I look at my own organization, which is the only PSU in the country today that looks at travel, tourism, and hospitality, we have 34% women in leadership position. I don't think there's any other public sector undertaking. We are 266 public sector undertaking in the country today, which will have this kind of an exaggerated number. If you look at the travel, tourism, and hospitality sector in the globe, you have about 40% women in the travel and the tourism sector. If you look at hospitality alone, which is running hotels and becoming vice presidents and general managers of the hotel, that number is even better and bigger, which is about 52% women. And the hospitality sector, unlike the academic sector, is a 24/7 job because you have to be on your feet. The hotel runs even at night. It's a 24/7 business. You can have crises. So it is very interesting statistics to see that our perception of women not taking up these kind of jobs because they're overnighters, they're mingling with all sorts of people, stands in a way diluted because women are at the helm in the hospitality sector, not just in India, but globally at 52%, which is great. Empowering women is just like those, the two trees and the plants that I've got. A tree exists for everybody, just like a woman. A woman exists for everybody. She's an overgiver. The tree doesn't bother who is sitting under it. It does not discriminate. Anybody who sits under the tree goes back with renewed oxygen, and some, of course, go with enlightenment, and so with women. Anybody who interfaces with women would find, be it in businesses, be it in households, that they're always giving of themselves, which is very important. But let's go back to the statistics that I spoke about. The aggressive number of women's presence in industry. But it is pretty nuanced because there are a range of women and there are hierarchies in women. There are married women, there are single women, there are educated women, there are unemployed women, there are employed women, there are women at leadership position. So when we look at women, we have to look, when we look at policy making, we must look at the disaggregated being that women are. And we must be able to, using Gandhiji's talisman, reach out to each and every one of them. Tailor-made, personalized, customizable policies for women, that become very, very important because that is what women need. Building on the Nari Shakti, what our government has done, it also spoke about what this university stands for and what this iCash program also stands for, Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao. If you educate a daughter, you educate the entire generation, not just a family. Because an educated mother will never, never want her children not to be educated. And we've all grown up with hearing this, कि एक बेटी पढ़ती है, तो 7 पीढ़ी तरती है. So it's more than a generation, it's seven generations. So that is why it becomes very, very important. But education of women alone does not suffice because women also have to be economically empowered. We live in a consumeristic society where economics is important. How do you do that? When we spoke of 52% women heading the hospitality sector, 34% women as per the World Economic Forum in leadership position, there's another statistics which says, and I'm sure our actresses in India have made this now common debatable discussion point, that while women are reaching and breaking the glass ceiling and becoming part of the leadership positions, there is still a gender pay inequality that exists, and the WEF tells us that it is the gender difference between women heading the same leadership position and men heading the same leadership position. There is a pay gap difference of about 18 to 19%. How do we address that? That is very important. When will we stop celebrating the Women's Day, because it would have become common parlance to have 90% women competing for something? That is the day when we would have achieved equity for a lot of our women. I want to give you an example from my own life when I cleared the civil service, as a lot of it has been said today. I was not brought up in a family where there was any kind of discrimination of gender, community, caste, religion. So when I had a fantastic mentor in my first collector, under whom I was a probationer, I learned a lot from him. His integrity was impeccable. His administrative acumen was great. But one day when I asked him, "Sir, what are the good qualities of a civil servant?" And it was a unisex question, as they say today. He was from Haryana, and he used to speak in the colloquial language. We were both having tea, and he said, "Dekh chori, ek ladka hai to dynamic, outgoing, resourceful." Right? Because I had not asked a gender question, but I got a reply which was a gender-based thing. So I asked him, "Sir, if that be so, what are the good qualities of a lady civil servant?" So he said, "Hardworking, sincere, obedient." I was fresh from JNU. So I could not gulp that information at that point in time, and this is 2000 that I'm speaking of. So I asked him, "Sir, I'm given to understand that I'm already hardworking, obedient, and sincere. That's why I've cleared the UPSC. But my peers have also told me that I'm equally outgoing, resourceful, and dynamic. And why can't I be both?" I recently got married, and my husband was also a collector, his very good friend. So he told me, "Do you want to be a homemaker or a home breaker?" My question had nothing to do with my being a homemaker or a home breaker, but that is how the perception was in 2000. Many years later, when I was doing my second district in Hanumangarh, he was my Prabhari Sachiv, the secretary in charge of the district, and he came on a round. And suddenly, when he came, and he was very appreciative of the work that we were doing in the district, and it was a district where I was the first woman collector. In 3 of my 4 districts, I was the first woman collector after 60 years. So then that thought came back to me that when I was a probationer, the same gentleman who was appreciative of the work that I am doing today had given me this gendered understanding of the qualities of a civil servant. So I asked him, "So do you recall that when I was a probationer, I had asked you this question and you had given me this answer?" Of course, he didn't recall. But I asked him, "What do you say to it now?" And he told me, "Dekh chori, tere pe kuch lagu nahi hota." You know, the point that conversation in 2000 and the conversation in 2007 taught me, it was probably a 7-year itch, as they say. It taught me that if you continue to be who you are, your authentic self, eventually the world will adjust. And I think this is the one mantra that I always tell myself, and I'm sharing with you, that be who you are. Being who you are, however, there is a caveat to everything. Being who you are doesn't really mean that you can be just about anything. If you have angularities, you have to ensure that in interacting with the world, your angularities are polished and you become a better person. Before becoming a good leader or occupying leadership positions, you know, a position can come and go. But if you are a leader, and leaders are not born, they are made, you will always remain a leader. There's a famous dialogue by Amitabh Bachchan in one of the movies. I've been a movie buff. I've learned a lot of my lessons from movies. I don't want to shy away sharing it. The dialogue is, "Hum jahan khade hote hain, line wahin se shuru hoti hai." I think there can be no better dialogue than this to tell you that even if you are standing in the kitchen with your ladle in your hand and you are making khana in all humbleness, with all devotion, you can still be a leader. You can still make the best food. Be who you are. Because if you go back to our epics, what do they say? They give you the best philosophical lessons. And a leader without vision, without philosophy, can be no leader. You can occupy a position, but you can't be a leader. A leader has to groom himself or herself, has to have a philosophy, has to have an anchor in principles, and has to have a vision. What is that anchor? 6 things that Mahabharata tells us: Shubh Labh, Yash Apyash, loss and gain. These are decided by time. not your actions. So how should our actions be? Our actions should always be for the betterment of the people around us. And there's another example. The person who puts mehendi in somebody else's hand, uske haath mein bhi thoda sa mehendi ka rang lag jata hai. And that is, I think, also how I'd like to explain a leader. You become a leader by doing things for the betterment, for the best of the society. Because eventually, just like the pawns in the king's fall back in the same pack, the leader also has to go and exist in the same society. So while you are evolving as a human being, as a leader with aspiration to become one, you must also ensure that the seats that you occupy, that the places where you stand, you leave them better than what you got them. There will always be a struggle to achieve anything, because there are too many people wanting to achieve the same thing. Don't wait for time. The time is already decided, it's preordained for you. It's waiting for you. Just walk it. Enjoy the journey, not the destination, because all our seats here, ma'am reached it in 40 years, but she couldn't have reached it in 40 years had she not been trying for the last 36 years of her being in IGNOU. Because she was destined. She may not have known it when she joined IGNOU, but the eternal time knew that in 2025, she will be here. Just walk, just do your thing. That is very important. Just walk your talk. And every time you meet people, see it as an opportunity of learning from them, of improving yourself. You go out into the world to clear out, to polish your angularities. And you come back from the world, sit with yourselves, and figure out what you want to carry with you. A leader is somebody who will always fly light, who will always do things and walk away with a lot of passion and with equal detachment. Because if you stick to the chair, and if you're wanting to stick to the chair, then you will not do the right thing. Give to gain. When you let go, you gain a greater you. And I think our objective in life is not to become a leader to occupy a position. That is very easy, that will come. The sun shines every day. It's brighter than any of the stars. None of the stars, even if they try hard, can become the sun. And the sun does nothing. It just wakes up in the morning and does its duty and goes back. And we all venerate it every day. We celebrate a festival called Chhat to honor the sun, just like we are doing this International Women's Day. Aspire to be a magnet and you will attract all the ions. And the position is just one of the ions that will come to you. Always look at becoming the magnet. Not chasing, but attracting. And when you look at yourselves, do 3 things. Never say a negative word about you. A lot has been said from the stage about resilience of women. I think women are beyond resilience. Women are anti-fragile. We learn so much. Our physical body teaches us so much. There are 3 or 4 stages of woman's body undergoing tremendous change. They say 208 bones break when we give birth to another human being. That is our power. The power to transmute from resilience. Because what is it? When we face a lot of struggles and a lot of strivings and a lot of challenges, we learn from them. We become better because of that. So treat your challenges not as adversaries, but treat them as friends who've come to elevate you from what you are to explore your potential, to harness your untapped potential. Because when you are faced with a crisis, you know that you can overcome the crisis. It's almost like Hanuman having the Shakti and then somebody telling him that you have it in you. You all have it in you. The second thing is, which is what we don't do, as an institution, the World Bank has started a program for gender-based statistical collation, compilation, aggregation, and analysis, some of which we heard from the stage today. But to be able to do meaningful policy interventions, it's very, very important that we must not become missing in statistics. Because, as the word goes, what is measured gets done. So if you want anything to get done for women, you must measure what women do. We are increasingly moving towards two kinds of economies, from the consumptive model to the creative economy or the orange economy, and to the caregivers economy. In both these economies, the creative economy and the caregivers economy, women hold center stage. If you look at the caregiving roles, they are beyond 52%. We might be leaders, but the caregiving roles for children and for geriatric squarely fall on women. And they are not measured, they are not accounted for, and that's equal labor. Hidden in this caregiving role is also take out time and opportunity for self-care, because none of us can pour out of an empty cup. So self-care should be a priority, be it your health, be it your mental health, be it your physical health, and I think that after gender statistics, self-care should be a priority. You know, gender statistics is also very important for the health and well-being of women, because if you just look at one particular disease, how the heart attack symptoms differ for men and women, you will find that while men have a lot of copybook symptoms that are mentioned by doctors, women don't have any of that before any visible signs of heart attack happen. A fatigue in women could be a fatigue because of menstruation or menopause. It could go undetected for a heart attack. So when you do gender disaggregated statistics, you will actually be able to do a lot of good for women in health, to look at their health, to look at how we can protect women. That is very, very important. I don't want to take much of your time, but I think as an institution, you have done tremendous good work in the last 40 years of your being. And I'm very happy because some 10 years back in one of the magazines, and I was sharing this with the Honorable Vice Chancellor Ma'am, that I had read somewhere that IGNOU had very proudly announced, I think it was 2015 or maybe 14, that they had crossed the 1 million mark in terms of student enrollment in IGNOU, becoming the world's largest open university. And today, within a period of about 10 to 12 years, that number has grown by 4 times. Our responsibility doesn't end here, because I'm sure there are many, many women from different status, different geographies, who are wanting to educate themselves. And I think we must feel very privileged that we have got education, that we are here, that we can speak for other women. Please consider this privilege of being here as the greatest thing that can happen to women and to mankind, because there are lots of them who are not educated. And I think they are missing out on so much that we have received just because of the fact that our parents were able to afford to send us to schools and colleges. And if you look at what a Harvard professor actually has written, a book called The Tyranny of Merit, it should be humbling. This privilege of being educating should be humbling, because he says that just because money created the luxury of time for some people. They were able to read books. They were able to draw knowledge and become intelligent and compete in exams compared to people who had to labor and toil for the very basics of life. So today, each one of you who's here, who's educated, we may be all on different paths of development, of growth. Some might just have started education for the first time in their families. Some may be at the fag end of getting superannuated. But the point is that the word livelihood looks very long, livelihood. And the word in comparison, the four-letter word in comparison to that, life, looks very short. But you know, the breadth of life is longer. The duration, the span of life is longer than livelihood. The moment you breathe at age 0, you are a living being. And none of us really know when we are going to die. So that is the breadth. But we all know that livelihood starts somewhere in the in the decade of the 20s, and it ends by the time you are 60, plus minus 4 or 5 years here and there. But life is bigger than livelihood. So you must always prep, not for livelihood, and not for the leadership position that livelihood gives you, but for the leadership role that life provides you. I think that is what I would qualify as being a leader at the helm, because it is a very democratic thought. You can be a leader even when you are 21. You don't have to wait for a position. You can just by standing, people will listen to you. So use that as a mantra, that leader makes positions, leader makes vision, leader lays the principle. Leader is not made by the position, the leader makes the position. So be a leader and create your own helm, not the own hell. Just remember that. Just a few letters short, but a leader has to be a good human being, a good citizen of the country. And I think education empowers us to differentiate between a leader for life and a leader for livelihood. Thank you very much for having me here. Every word that I say today is also a reminder for myself, because I think that once in a while, just like these 8th March reminders for the International Women's Day, dialogues like these also become little reminders for us to be grateful for what we have achieved in life and to stay humble, because life can deal a cruel blow anytime, and if you have your feet on the ground, you will always be able to get up and walk again. So with these words, thank you very much, good luck, and have a very nice day and evening ahead of you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that deep and thought-provoking views. And probably with this kind of vision and insights, ma'am has transformed her own organization and have won recently some accolades and awards for ITDC. Your insights have beautifully resonated with the central message that empowering women in leadership is not merely about representation, but about reshaping systems with empathy, equity, and excellence.
And its potential is absolutely amazing. That is a gift that is worth fighting for.
Women are the embodiment of hope and possibility. They are the light that will guide us in reaching a more sustainable, peaceful, and just world.
Mujeres tenemos una capacidad increíble para cambiar el curso de nuestras vidas.
Women.
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 Women. Women.
Women. Women.
Women.
Women.
Women rise for all.
Why has gender equality been a question to begin with?
Gender inequality affects all of us.
We look around tables and we are fewer and fewer women. Only with the inclusion of women and girls, it's possible to bring societies forward.
We don't have a lot of support when it comes to childcare,
Financial security, education. Every day, women are held back by structural discrimination.
And we need to ensure that we push forward for gender equality.
When we talk about we the women, this is about community. This is about bringing the world with us. We have to focus on having our women in leadership so they can actually move that needle towards those promises that were made.
But when women lead, we redefine boundaries, setting standards, and inspire inclusive transformational changes.
Women are in the forefront of change.
My whole perspective on life, society, and livelihoods have changed because I got an education. Something in me said, no, that's not enough. I want to go all the way. And I wish it was the same for other countries. I mean, there are countries where women are forcefully taken out of educational institutes. They are not allowed. It should become a global goal. Access to education should be available to all.
Childcare is still an issue. Proper access to education is an issue. Like, you name it, there are still issues that existed 30 years ago that I'm facing. Those changes only happen, this collaboration only happens when we see each other at the table and when we can see and understand the differences that we all have and the lived experiences that bring us together to shape the things that we want to see happen.
Education itself is a pipeline into leadership.
Education is not just literacy and numeracy. This is a birthright. Quality education makes critical thinkers, creative thinkers.
I come from a country that has been in internal conflict for so many years, 50 years of war in Colombia. And you see how a lot of the violence is specific to women. Sexual violence, losing your kids, seeing your husband killed in conflict. And I was also present there when we signed the peace agreement that was historic. Peace, justice, strong institutions, those three come together all the time.
In Read Women's survey, 38% of women said that peace, justice, and strong institutions are one of the top priorities to live in a safe country.
We are striving for peace whether we know it or not. This is the thing that connects all of us. When we're thinking about ways to connect the collective and us as a humanity, this is a great place to start.
Without peace, we don't have infrastructure. And that means access to a better health, to a better education, to a better socio-economical life. Peace is related to all of these areas of life.
If women are feeling insecure about their ability to escape their current situation due to economic constraints, it will compromise their ability to take a leadership position that could lead to something more. Having financial security leads to agency and the ability to make choice.
El cambio climático tiene un impacto totalmente distinto hacia los hombres que hacia las mujeres. Por ejemplo, las mujeres que tienen que ir a recolectar agua debido a las sequías tienen que caminar mucho más lejos, que en caso de algún desastre natural deben ser quienes se preocupen de niños, ancianos o personas que estén con movilidad reducida, y eso está ocurriendo hoy día. Las cifras siguen reflejando que existe un problema que no se está abordando de manera correcta.
The largest subcategory within climate change that came back as a concern was the extent to which it would impact health and wellness.
The survey reflects that one of the concerns of women is about mental health.
Almost half the women said it is a barrier for them to fully live the life in their own terms.
If we look at the African continent, if anybody complains about being depressed, for example, it is treated not as an illness. It is swept under the carpet and it does not get the right attention. We suffer from a lot of issues, self-image issues, postnatal depression issues that people don't understand, and it is just disregarded. We tend to have a heavier burden. We take care of people, take care of children, we give birth, so these things have negative effects if it is not dealt properly.
Breaking the stigma of mental health starts with a single conversation, one that encourages openness, understanding, and creates a safe space.
Without a healthy nation, you will not have a healthy mother, father, a good workforce. Take care of health of your citizens, and then the rest will follow.
Peace comes from within. My mental health is the center. I can live a life I enjoy.
When women have access to health, education, and justice, they will become unstoppable.
All of us together moving forward in the creation of a better world where everybody wins.
Women as decision makers is a necessity. We don't have enough women at the top.
It is so important that we are making and shaping decisions because those decisions affect us.
How many women do we have as presidents or prime ministers? But it is not just those positions that we need to hold.
What is unique about the way women lead? They are more passionate, have more empathy, they see the value of peace.
Women decision makers make decisions for everyone. They bring their perspectives, they bring their lived experience, they bring totally different skill sets to the table and do it in a lens where they're taking into account so many different parts of their community.
85% of women see themselves as advocates and act as advocates. The present order of gender inequality will shift dramatically.
As we start to think about how we can leverage with AI, but we're really trying to create a stronger future and our livelihoods depend on it.
More than twice as many women see artificial intelligence as an opportunity compared to a threat.
Women in leadership roles are disproportionately impacted online. It's really scary. Technology can be used as a tool and a weapon. We see that women are facing so much more hardships online, being targeted with deepfakes, mis and disinformation, or other AI-generated content. Everyone has a role to play in helping to safeguard and put in safety brakes for those issues. But one of the things that makes me hopeful, maybe we use it to solve some of these challenging issues that we've faced for I don't even know how long.
In this survey, we see how women around the world are paying attention to this specific tech tool, how to get their hands on this tech, because it is going to change the world. And I think we should be able to participate in that change.
I think it's really important now that we listen to the voices of women. Think of the people who have paved the ways for us.
We need the power, the knowledge, the innovative ideas of women before us.
I find inspiration from the women in my family. I'm half Afghan and half Moroccan, and I grew up with very strong Afghan women surrounding me. And so I was blessed with having two different perspectives in my household.
As I stand on the shoulders of many women before me, now is the time for that intergenerational discussion to happen. It will be worthwhile young women doing that today, and hopefully they won't carry the baggage of my generation.
There's a positive wind blowing.
I hope that our message gets to you and that this is not just another survey you look at, but a survey you act on.
Of course, I wonder, what is this for? And hopefully it becomes something tangible in the world. Real policies, real actions, real organizing of people, changing the world from the better.
Think globally and act locally. Think about the world in general. Do the best we can at our own level.
Change only comes when we collectively come together, work together. There's solutions, and those solutions can turn into action.
Wake up, wake up. Let's wake up. All of this work, all of this advocacy is because equality and justice matter.
I feel optimistic, and apparently I'm not the only one.
The survey has found that women around the world are hopeful. When women rise, so does hope.
My We the Women first started with my mother and 4 sisters, and I have 4 daughters, and I have 2 granddaughters. I am surrounded by women. That's what's been sustainable in this whole journey. But if I am to fall, I know that women will catch me.
When we listen to women around the world, we understand what the real issues on the ground are, but we also learn about the ways we can solve them.
Societies who are more equal, societies who bring women forward, they are much more successful.
And as we look to the future, it is we the women that will provide that space, that imagination, that inspiration, that can-do, the solutions to finding our path.
Thank you. The women entrepreneurs comprising IGNOU students, alumni, and members of the community have put up their stalls here at the convention center. These stalls reflect creativity, innovation, and the spirit of self-reliance. This initiative aims to promote and encourage such promising ventures led by our talented women entrepreneurs. I would now request the dignitaries on the dais to felicitate and acknowledge their efforts by presenting a certificate and a memento to the women entrepreneurs. I would also request Dr. Jyotsna to join on the dais, who has been the energy and force behind the show. We begin with Ms. Diksha Jha, founder of Swadeshi Sutra Bagley Bags, to please come on the dais. We invite Ms. Hemlata. Hemlata representing Metropod. She's not there. I would like to invite Ms. Sudarshana Sondawale, founder of Sudarshan's World. Anita Jain, representing Womania. Ms. Sonali Shastri, founder of Soul Bot Therapy. Ms. Muskan representing Muskan Creations. Dr. Bhavna Sokta, founder of AdCos Enterprises. Ms. Ayushi, representing Artvibe. Lastly, Ms. Hemlata, representing Metropod. Thank you, everyone. Let us once again appreciate the passion, dedication, and entrepreneurial spirit of these inspiring women. Now it is the time to conclude the event. I invite Professor Jiten Srivastav, Registrar, IGNOU, for a vote of thanks.
नमस्कार सभी लोगों को। यहाँ मंच पर उपस्थित हमारे विश्वविद्यालय की माननीय कुलपति प्रोफेसर उमा कांजीलाल जी, आज विश्वविद्यालय के निवेदन पर हम लोगों के बीच मुख्य अतिथि के रूप में उपस्थित सुश्री मुग्धा सिन्हा जी, हमारे अपने सहयोगी प्रोफेसर अंजू जे थॉमस जी, डॉक्टर रंजीता पंडा जी, प्रोफेसर सुहास जी, प्रोफेसर रोज और संचालन कर रही डॉक्टर मोनिका मिश्र जी, और सभागार में उपस्थित क्षेत्रीय केंद्रों पर और अन्य जगहों पर सोशल मीडिया के साथ जुड़े हमारे सभी साथी, विश्वविद्यालय परिवार के सभी सदस्य, मित्रों, प्रतिवर्ष हम लोग अंतर्राष्ट्रीय महिला दिवस मनाते हैं और मनाना भी चाहिए, लेकिन मुझे बराबर लगता है, अभी मैं उस पर थोड़ी सी चर्चा करूंगा और धन्यवाद का। दरअसल ये जो अंतर्राष्ट्रीय महिला दिवस है, मुझे बराबर लगता है कि यह पुरुषों के लिए आत्ममूल्यांकन का दिवस है। उनको आत्ममूल्यांकन करना चाहिए। एक जो पूरा हमारा एक ताना बाना है, उसमें यह हमेशा देखने की चीज़ होती है और जाहिर है कि ऐसे दिवस बहुत सोच समझकर व्यवस्थित किए जाते हैं। ये देखना हो कि परिवार है या समाज है या जहाँ भी हम हैं, वहाँ हम स्त्रियों के लिए जो अवकाश है, स्पेस है, उसके बारे में कितना सोचते हैं, कितना हमारी दृष्टि कैसी है, ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण चीज़ है और वो हमें देखना ही चाहिए। तभी सेलिब्रेट करने का कोई माने मतलब है, तभी चीज़ें निकल कर आती हैं। बहुत सलीके के साथ बहुत सारी बातें मुग्धा जी ने कहीं, हमारी पूरी जो अवधारणा है भारत की, उसका भी जिक्र किया उन्होंने। हम लोग अर्धनारीश्वर की अवधारणा वाले देश के लोग हैं। हमारे वहाँ तो जो पूरी संरचना है, जो हमारी दार्शनिक संरचना है, उसमें अलग से कुछ कहने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, लेकिन अन्य कारणों से जो चीज़ें हो जाती हैं वो रहती हैं। प्रत्येक बिंदु पर हमें समानता का जो सिद्धांत है उसका पालन करना चाहिए, तभी इस तरह के दिवस का मतलब निकलेगा, तभी वो अर्थपूर्ण होगा। बातों से तो क्या होना है, हमारे आचरण का हिस्सा होना बहुत ज़रूरी है उसे। आज इग्नू का जिक्र बार बार आया, बार बार आना चाहिए। हम सब लोग इस परिवार के सदस्य सचमुच हम एक उदाहरण की तरह हैं। दूसरी संस्थाओं के लिए भी हम लोग श्लाघ्य हैं कि देखें कि किस तरह से इग्नू में हम लोग काम करते हैं और देखते हैं, ये सारी चीज़ें रहती हैं। हम लोग साहित्य का विद्यार्थी हों, हम लोग आंडाल, अक्क महादेवी, मीरा, महादेवी वर्मा जैसे कवियों के देश के लोग हैं। इनकी कविताएं चेतना के द्वार खोलती हैं। आप पीछे पलट कर देखें, समय कितना, अंडाल का समय देखें, अक्क महादेवी का समय देखें और आज का समय देखें। अगर कविताएं आप पढ़ेंगे तो लगेगा कि आज जो ये दिवस है, ये चीज़ें हैं, एक लंबे संघर्ष का परिणाम है, सारी चीज़ें हैं। तो हमें बार बार ये याद रखना चाहिए और अपने आचरण को लोकतांत्रिक बनाना चाहिए, संविधान सम्मत बनाना चाहिए। तभी इसको जागरण दिवस की तरह देखें तो ज़्यादा बेहतर होगा। मैं बहुत आभारी हूँ माननीय कुलपति प्रोफेसर उमा कांजीलाल जी का। वे जब से कुलपति हैं, लगभग 1.5 वर्ष से अधिक का समय बीता। हमने विश्वविद्यालय में उनके हर निर्णय में एक स्त्री दृष्टि देखी। जब मैं स्त्री दृष्टि कह रहा हूँ तो एक विस्तृत अवधारणा के तौर पर कह रहा हूँ। हम सब इसके परिचित हैं, हम सब लोग उनके सभी कार्यों से परिचित हैं। एक प्रोफेसर के रूप में उन्होंने जो कार्य किया, आज यूनिवर्सिटी, हम लोग डिजिटल यूनिवर्सिटी की ओर बढ़ रहे हैं। आईटी का जो पूरा मामला है, ये कहने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, आप सब जानते हैं कि उसमें उनका सबसे बड़ा योगदान है। वो लगातार प्रोफेसर के तौर पर, सीओई के डायरेक्टर के तौर पर, उसके पहले भी तमाम लगातार काम करती रहीं। अब भी लगातार उनका फोकस है कि हम लोग बेहतर से बेहतर करें। उनके समय में हम लोग किसी भी तरह के शोषण के लिए जीरो टॉलरेंस का मामला है हमारे लिए। किसी भी तरह के शोषण के लिए कोई जगह नहीं है हमारे इस प्रशासन में इस समय। तो इसके लिए आप लोग आश्वस्त रहें कि हम लोग रहेंगे। मैं बहुत आभारी हूँ, उनका लगातार मार्गदर्शन मिलता है। मैं बराबर कहता हूँ कि वो अपनी भद्रता के लिए जानी जाती हैं, अपनी सहजता के लिए जानी जाती हैं। कोई भी उनसे मिल सकता है, बात कर सकता है। अब भी उसी तरह जैसे वो प्रोफेसर के दौर में सोशल साइंस में थी। ये बड़ी बात है, वो हमारे अपने बीच की हैं, इसलिए हमारी ताकत और अधिक है। मैं बहुत आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ उनका, उनके सहयोग। जैसा मैं शुरू में कह रहा था कि हम लोगों के निवेदन को, विश्वविद्यालय के निवेदन को स्वीकार कर मुग्धा जी हम लोगों के बीच आई हैं। ये महज संयोग है कि हम लोग जेएनयू के समकालीन हैं। वो बहुत अच्छी कवित्री हैं, अंग्रेज़ी और हिंदी दोनों में कविताएं लिखती हैं। आज आपने जो उनका व्याख्यान सुना, गहन वैचारिकता से भरा हुआ, तथ्य तो थे ही थे, उसमें विचार के बहुत सारे बिंदु थे। परंपरा की अनुगूंजें थीं और आधुनिकता का जो होना चाहिए समावेश उसमें था। ऐसे ही समाज बनता है, ऐसे ही दृष्टि बदलती है, ऐसी ही चीज़ों से बदलती है। हम बहुत आभारी हैं मैडम आपके कि आपने हमारा निवेदन स्वीकार किया, विश्वविद्यालय में आई, आपके आने से हमारा मान बढ़ा है। हम आभारी हैं आपके। मैं स्कूल ऑफ जेंडर एंड डेवलपमेंट स्टडीज़ की निदेशक प्रोफेसर अनुजे थॉमस जी का आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। मैं आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ जो हमारे वहाँ कमेटियाँ हैं, उनमें डॉक्टर रंजिता पंडा जी हैं, प्रोफेसर रोज हैं, बहुत सारे सदस्य उसमें काम कर रहे हैं और अपने ढंग से विश्वविद्यालय में जितना बेहतर हो सकता है हमारा पर्यावरण, उस पर्यावरण को बेहतर करने में लगे हैं। पर्यावरण का मतलब सिर्फ प्रकृति का पर्यावरण नहीं होता है, सामाजिक पर्यावरण भी उतना ही महत्वपूर्ण है जितना प्राकृतिक पर्यावरण है। प्राकृतिक पर्यावरण तो इग्नू में बहुत सुंदर है और सामाजिक पर्यावरण भी, तो उसको बनाने में ये लोग लगातार कोशिश कर रहे हैं। मैडम अनुजे थॉमस जी, डॉक्टर रंजिता पंडा जी और सभी जो लोग इन कमेटियों से जुड़े हैं, मैं आप सबके प्रति अपना आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। प्रशासन की ओर से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं कि आप लोग लगातार काम करते हैं, इसलिए प्रशासन का काम बहुत हल्का रहता है। प्रशासन को अलग से नहीं सोचना पड़ता, नहीं करना पड़ता। तो बहुत आभारी हूं मैं आप लोगों का। मैं आभारी हूं सभी विश्वविद्यालय, पूरे विश्वविद्यालय परिवार का, शिक्षकों का, शिक्षक साथियों का, अकादमिक साथियों का, जो लोग नॉन टीचिंग से हैं, उन सब का, जो केंद्र पर हैं, जो क्षेत्रीय केंद्रों में हैं, स्टडी सेंटर्स पे जो लोग हमारा सहयोग करते हैं, मैं आप सबके प्रति बहुत आभारी हूँ। आप लोगों के कारण यह विश्वविद्यालय विश्व का सबसे बड़ा विश्वविद्यालय है। जो विद्यार्थी चारों तरफ से जुड़े हैं, वो सब में आप सबका योगदान है। मैं आप सबके प्रति आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। इसी तरह जैसा मैडम कहती हैं हमारी कुलपति कि सब कुछ कीजिए, काम करते रहिए, तभी हम आगे बढ़ेंगे, तभी हमारा विस्तार होगा, हमारा विकास होगा। मैं सिक्योरिटी के प्रति अपना आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ, EMPC के प्रति अपना आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ, विश्वविद्यालय परिवार के प्रत्येक सदस्य के प्रति मैं अपना आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। विश्वविद्यालय को सुंदर बनाएं, सुदृढ़ बनाएं, सक्रिय बनाएं, शोषण मुक्त रखें, सुंदर और हर तरह से बेहतर रखें। बहुत आभार, बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you everyone for the event. It is closed now. Before leaving, please collect your refreshment packets from the foyer.